College students have everything. Prisoners have nothing. Guess who learns faster? Clarence Earl Gideon dropped out of school at 14. He entered a Florida prison with no legal training, no lawyer, no money, no contacts. He taught himself law from the prison library. Then he handwrote a petition to the Supreme Court, online prison stationery, in pencil. The Supreme Court ruled unanimously in his favor. Every American who has ever heard the words "you have the right to an attorney" has Gideon to thank. No tutor, no law degree, just 3 constraints that turned out to be the most powerful learning system ever built. Here's exactly what they are. Chapter 1. The Reset. Think about the last time you actually focused. Not felt like you were focusing, actually focused. Gloria Mark at UC Irvine tracked this for years. After a single interruption, it takes 23 minutes to fully return to deep work. The average college student gets interrupted every few minutes. You are never actually in the material. You're skimming the surface of it between notifications. Prisoners get no notifications. At first, they describe the silence as unbearable. Then something shifts. Dense legal texts start to feel readable. Books they couldn't finish on the outside start to feel interesting. Not because the books changed, because their brain rebuilt the ability to stay inside one thing long enough for it to actually mean something. Your brain is the same. It hasn't lost the ability to focus. It has never been given the chance to remember what focus actually feels like. Here's the fix. 1 subject, 1 tab, phone in a different room. Not face down, a different room, not for hours, for 25 minutes. That single change produces more attention than any technique, method, or system you will ever find, but focus alone fades. You'll quit before the week is out. That's what Chapter 2 solves. Chapter 2. Real stakes. Here is the actual reason studying doesn't stick. The stakes aren't real. You study for a grade. Fail it, retake it, forget it, Google it. The material has no weight. Your brain knows this, and it treats optional information as optional. Prisoners who become serious learners are not chasing diplomas. Gideon wasn't studying law because it interested him. He was studying because his life was inside that argument. If he couldn't understand the clause, he didn't go home. That is not the same cognitive state as studying for a quiz. When the stakes are survival, the brain stops treating information as temporary. It encodes it like it matters. Because it does. Psychologist Robert Bjork calls this desirable difficulty. When the cost of forgetting is real, memory stops being optional. Prisoners study 12 to 16 hours a day. No job, no commute, no distractions, just time, and a reason that will not let them stop. They flip the curse into an advantage. Here's how to manufacture the same pressure. Before your next session, write down one specific consequence. Not, I want to do well. Something real. Something with a name and a date attached. Vague goals produce vague effort. Real stakes produce real memory. 2 advantages down. Hit subscribe before you forget them. 1 more to go. Chapter 3. The Scarcity Effect. You have access to everything. And that is exactly the problem. Betsy Sparrow of Columbia proved this in 2011. She called it the Google effect. When people know they can search for something, their brain stops storing it. Why remember what you can retrieve in 10 seconds? So it doesn't. You remember where to find the information. Prisoners remember the information. Those are not the same thing. Gideon had a few law books. That was it. He read each one until the spine cracked. He wrote notes on whatever held ink. He could not look it up later, so he made sure he never had to. That constraint was not a disadvantage. That constraint was the whole system. When you have everything, you skim. When you have 3 books, you own them. Here's the rule. Whatever you're studying right now, cap yourself at 3 sources. 1 textbook, 1 article, 1 video. When those feel thin, go deeper. Don't add more. Close the tab, read the page, then close the book and write down everything you remember. Your brain only keeps what it believes it cannot retrieve later. Give it no exit. I put all 3 of these into a 1-page protocol, the focus reset checklist, the stakes planner, and the 3-source tracker. It's free. Link in the description. Gideon didn't win because he was brilliant. He won because he had no shortcuts, no Google to defer to, no tutor to fill in the gaps, no option to skim and move on. Just the material, the silence, and a reason that made forgetting impossible. You can recreate all 3 without the sentence. But here's the problem. You now know the 3 principles. Pick up your phone in the next 10 minutes, and none of this will matter. Your brain is already planning the exit. That's why I made this video on exactly how to do a proper dopamine detox. and rewire your brain so deep focus becomes the default, not the exception. Watch it next.